Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we discuss all the latest in pop culture news, gaming news, TV and movie reviews. My name is Price of Reason, and with me I have, as usual, my co host, Professor R2. How's it going, Professor?
Doing all right. Busy week. Little little tired, but that's all right. We're gonna have some fun tonight. Nice little discussions here, and uh, you
Well,
know,
there's certainly a lot to talk about.
yeah,
It's been an interesting few days.
yeah,
You know, for our more I think usually people already know by now. Usually there's sort of a more global uh, topic that we kind of talk about. Then we kind of go into entertainment. We also discuss some gaming, do some reviews.
sure.
We really try to do like a wide spectrum of things on our shows. So I think the one thing that I've noticed in the past few days that and it's things that really also affect pop culture in the sense that a lot of people online are talking about it, and it's something that's on people's mind. It's not the traditional pop culture, but I think that everybody was paying attention to that trial of Daniel Penny in New York, and
Mhm.
I think that him being acquitted, which I don't know if people know, but he was basically acquitted. I think it's an interesting moment because it could have played out one way and it played out a different way, and I myself wasn't sure how it would play out. Do you think it played out the way you thought it did, the way you thought it would?
More or less. I mean, gosh, it's really hard sometimes to have sort of faith in humanity, as it would be, faith that people in the jury are going to make the right decision. I think first of all, charges should never have been brought. Period. If you've watched the videos, if you heard the testimony from the people who were there should never have been any charges brought against him to begin with. It was all based on trying to claim that he was racist in some way, right? That he was in some way the actions that he took were based on the fact that he wasn't in an encounter with a black man, which I think is ridiculous. But, as far as the actual trial itself and how things played out, we got basically they had a hung jury. They had one charge that they were not going to be able to bring. They were not gonna agree on that charge, and so they dropped that one out and said, "Okay, also the lesser charge as well." And then he was found not guilty of that. So, he was acquitted, which, again, I think rightly so. Uh, Again, if you've watched the videos, if you've seen any of the coverage, I've seen the videos taken by people from multiple different angles of everything that was happening. Clearly, yes, this guy was not Penny, but Jordan Neely was having some kind of mental health crisis. That does not mean that he was not a danger to others. Yes,
I agree with you.
it would have
I'm gonna
been best if he had had intervention before that moment, but in that moment, he was flailing around, he was yelling at people, he was saying he was ready to kill, he was ready to die, he wanted to go back to jail. He was a danger to others at that moment, and the actions that were taken by Jordan Neely should not have been necessary. The authorities should have taken care of it. But unfortunately, they didn't. And unfortunately, Price seems to have disappeared for a moment, but that's okay. Uh, he had been in encounters with the police multiple times. In fact, I believe he has been arrested over 40 times, if I remember the numbers correctly. I do know he was at once credibly accused of attempting to kidnap a child. He had assaulted people, including the elderly. I believe there's a 67-year-old woman, 64-year-old man who he had punched in the face. So, no, you don't want to see what happened happen. You don't want to see someone like Jordan Neely have to step up and grab another citizen and wrestle them to the ground and hold them down. But what he was doing was not some sort of criminal assault that he was committing against a perfectly rational person, right? He was the one who was acting in self-defense, not just for himself, but to protect others on that train as well. So it's awful what happened, I don't. It's terrible that Jordan Neely died in this situation, but that situation was not started by Daniel Penny.
No, it wasn't started by him, and I think also that based on also you saw these kind of BLM people outside trying to do talk
Yeah,
about riots and certain things like that. This, however you felt about that George Floyd situation, this was a very different situation
it was.
because at that point there was a a situation that they were trying to detain him and he was trying to run away and they detained him one way or another. Should they have detained him like this? Shouldn't they? Uh, you know even George Floyd, he wasn't saying that he was going to, kill them. Uh, it was a very different situation.
Yeah.
Whereas in this case, this guy walked on a subway where there's been a lot of stuff going on in the subway. People are really kind of scared to go on the subway. There's all
Mhm.
these kind of crazy people. They start throwing people into the tracks. There's a lot of assaults and robberies and a lot of stuff going on there because really, I don't know if it's the NYPD that can't stop it or maybe their hands are tied. There's probably a combination of a lot of things why it's not working properly then. But I guess the bottom line is that there is a lot of trouble on that subway. And when a lot of people are on there and a guy walks in and starts saying that he's going to kill people and he doesn't mind going to jail and he's like all like, seems like he's bonkers, that's not something that people on a subway love. That's like when you're on a
No.
subway car, that's a place you can't really get away. And I think that the part here that was interesting about the trial is that you had a jury that was, considered quote unquote diverse. And at the same time, you also had witnesses that came forward that were not white that said, hey, I was here with my son and this guy was acting crazy and then Daniel Penny came and stopped him. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This became really a very different narrative than the one that like somebody wanted to sell. And they didn't even show there's like a video that shows that there was also a black man trying to restrain him.
Yes.
So I guess what I'm saying is it felt again like the what's going on with New York City and their and New York in general and their justice system, whatever that is, seems like they're very occupied with very certain narratives and things. And
Yes. Which, there was another subway assault that just happened recently between two black men, I believe, and there was a stabbing, and they did not bring charges against the guy who stabbed the other guy to death.
yeah, I mean, there's a very selective way of doing things, and you have like that Letitia James lady that she was saying, "Oh, too pale, too stale, too whatever." Like this isn't
Yeah.
me imagining it. She actually said this stuff,
Yeah.
and they really seem to have a problem with their priorities. Now, I know Mayor Adams in New York City. He has his own legal issues and his own problems, but I feel like ever since that people started kind of persecuting him, he's somehow become a little more based. So as this trial was going on, he said that he didn't think that Daniel Penny should be sent to jail. He said that he understood that the guy was trying to protect people, and
Mhm.
that's the way they saw it too. Now, the
Yeah.
final thing that I'll say, and this is really really important because it's again different than what BLM were trying to say about George Floyd. This guy, this Neely guy, I understand he had mental issues. I understand that, and I'm not making light of it. But he was arrested 44 times, and in 2021, he was on the subway and he went to a 67-year-old woman who he assaulted, who had
Mhm.
major medical issues,
Yeah.
meaning real assault. Like, he was like punching her in the face. I don't know what. Like he damaged to her skull and stuff.
Yeah.
So. And then basically they tried to do something. They arrested him. They tried to put him in a mental health facility. I don't know what. He left after 13 days or something, I think,
Mhm.
and just went about his business.
Yep.
I guess what I'm saying is this guy has a track record of being on the subway, assaulting people and getting arrested, and he's been arrested 44 times. So, with that in mind, I really, really don't think that this idea of painting him as some kind of saint, I don't agree with that. Now, people say, well, he had mental issues, and I understand that. And I'll say that it's also interesting, and I thought this way about George Floyd as well. Uh, where are the families that care so much? The second that George Floyd, died, all these people that didn't even care to help him or anything, that any trouble he was in. They didn't seem to care about any of that stuff. I mean, if he needed $20 so bad, where were all these relatives that then, were walking from from parade to parade? Are you with me?
Yeah. Yeah. I
None
know
of
what
those
you mean.
people that flew all over the country to go give speeches and talk and do whatever, none of them could loan him a 20. I know that
Mhm.
sounds awful. I know you'll say, like, I'm a terrible person for thinking that, but this isn't even a matter of how he died or those circumstances. I'm saying that these families that claim that it's so important, it really became important after the person died. I feel similarly about Jordan Neely. Like, all of his, people and family and relatives, like, it's so important to them. Man, this guy had so many issues. Maybe people that are talking about him now, that he's so important to them, could have done more when he was alive.
Yes.
Like, the
Absolutely.
guy had real issues. It's not like this isn't the same. It's not even. This is very different than a lot of these type of cases we've seen, and the justice system here really wanted to make it a very different type of case.
It's extremely sad. First of all, I will say, there is no situation here where Jordan Neely coming away from it dead is the best possible answer.
No,
That's
no,
that's
it's not.
sad. It
It's
is
not.
sad.
It is a tragedy. It is a tragedy. But the thing is that um, I think that the way that they tried to paint Daniel Penny as sort of like he
Exactly.
got up one morning and because he's a white man, he wanted to see this guy. This
Yeah, that
that didn't.
he went after him to kill him. That's what they tried to claim. Literally, that's
Right,
what they
like, he
tried to
got up in
claim
the
in the
morning, his dream was, like, to kill this guy. It's a tragedy at the end of the day, and I will say that this Jordan Neely guy had real mental health issues. I mean, let's be fair, he was arrested 44 times, including a number of times for assaulting people on the subway. Sometimes, as much as maybe there's empathy that there's a guy that has mental health issues like this one, and there is empathy, you still at the end also have to be reasonable and think to yourself, well, there's a lot of people riding on that subway and you don't want them to get assaulted.
Yeah, yeah. There's been so many people out there yelling and hollering at these, various different protests and doing speeches and stuff, saying, "Oh, what he needed was empathy. He didn't need someone to grab him and assault him on the subway." And it's like, well, he did need empathy. Where were you the decade before this when he was having nonstop encounters with the police, all kinds of mental health issues and various different, issues where his family, that they're out there, talking about, "Oh, you know, you killed my son," or whatever. A lot of his family was not involved in his life in any way. Like, I believe his father hadn't had contact with him for close to a decade. And again, I don't think that him coming away from this encounter dead is ideal. It's certainly not. In fact, I it's tragic. But that does not mean that Daniel Penny is the one that's responsible for this. I think the system that should have been caring for this man, should have been trying to help this man, the system that had just repeated encounters with him, proving that he was not a stable person, that he should not
Yeah,
be
I mean, you
on the
think
street.
after 44 times,
Yeah.
yeah, but go on, sorry.
No, but no, that's that's the thing. You say, oh, this man, this white man showed up and killed him, mercilessly on a subway. No, watch the videos. Watch the videos. There's a number of different compilations out there. There's a great one. There's a really great publication, a newsletter called the Free Press. I don't know if you follow it or not, but it's a really great publication. They do lots of great, like, real journalism, and they put together an entire uh, compilation of a bunch of different cell phone video and stuff from around this time, kind of putting them all together so that they kind of when they overlap and the different times and to show the timeline of what happened. It, Jordan Neely was ranting and raving and slamming around inside and saying all sorts of crazy stuff. The people who were on the scene when this happened were telling the police about all of the wild things that were happening. and how dangerous he was and how scared they were. You can see on the videos, you can see the terror in these people's eyes that are sitting on that subway. He was clearly endangering others. And what Daniel Penny did was step in and try to protect other people. I don't think he had it in his mind to try and kill this man. All he wanted was for him to no longer be a threat. And
I agree.
unfortunately, he had all kinds of drugs in his system. He had all sorts of other health issues that contributed to his passing away. And again, that's sad and it's tragic. No one wants to see that. No one wants to see him die. But unfortunately, the system, this safety net out there that is supposed to be there to help people, is supposed to be there to kind of support these people, completely failed him. And so we ended up with this encounter where a citizen had to end up, taking him out of commission, taking him out of being a threat in this situation. And he ended up dying from various different complications. It's sad, but
I
that's what happened.
agree, and the thing is that I mean the fact that in the system there isn't somebody that says, okay, we've arrested him 44 times. Some of those times have been for assault. Some of them have been for assaulting people on the subway. And the fact that they know that he has mental health issues and somehow he just continues to move along again and again and nobody does something, that is a failure of the system. That's not on Daniel Penny. Now, if it was a situation that this guy had a clean record, never did anything wrong, he's just, came, it was a misunderstanding, he didn't mean it, he told a joke and somebody just like killed him, you think, okay, well, there's something fishy here. But this isn't the case. This isn't the case here. And out of all the cases we've seen, this is the least case of that. You know what I mean? Like this really, the fact that they went and they did that kind of BLM press conference, they're like, there has to be riots now. It's like, come on. This is not one of those cases. Not that I even like the whole now riot and ruin everybody's businesses. I don't like that attitude to begin with. But if there was ever a place that I feel that it wasn't even justified to roll that out, it's this situation. Somebody here wrote, the dead man wrote, Eric Garner was a real tragedy where the police legitimately was killed by the police for no reason. Yes, Eric Garner was a guy that his whole deal is that he liked selling like cigarettes, I guess, on the street. Maybe he
Yeah.
didn't have a license, and I guess sometimes he would be one of those people that you sell one cigarette. You know what I'm saying? This happens that in some places where somebody just doesn't want to buy a whole pack, especially they're expensive these days, and then they just want one cigarette. So this guy would sell one cigarette, which of course I guess he didn't have the license to sell one cigarette on the street or something like that. And with him, I guess like he became a target of the police. It's kind of strange because the type of crime that goes on in New York City, a guy selling like, cigarettes that like one by one instead of in a pack really isn't the biggest threat in town. Are you with me?
No, not at all.
That I'm talking about Eric Gardner,
Yeah.
and then they came and did this whole chokehold. They're like 5 cops are like jumping on him because they wanted to arrest him and take him down. I mean, to say it was overkill and they killed him, meaning they basically, I think they choked him. Maybe he had a heart attack. I don't remember now, but that you really felt in that situation that, even if you thought this guy, bent a few rules or even he wasn't supposed to sell those cigarettes or whatever it is. I've spent a good portion of my life in New York City, and I can say that there's a lot of things that go on the streets of New York City, and some guy selling like, loose cigarettes. That's really should be like the bottom of the barrel of urgent matters. Do you know
No.
what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I
Like,
don't know. I know exactly what you mean. Yes. Yeah.
like I would think that like the 5 cops that came and they looked like they were one of those like CBS shows, like these kind of SWAT whatever. I think that there's something else they can do with their time. That guy, in my humble opinion, was not a real active threat. You know what? He was a guy that if you think that he did something like that, give him a ticket, give him a fine. I don't know what. And if you need to arrest him, why do you need to like 5 people jump and choke him? I mean, really. So yeah, that was a case that was like bonkers, the Eric Garner one. But this isn't that. This thing was a tragedy, like you said.
Not
But
at
at
all.
the end of the day, I know that feeling because I've been on the subway a long time, many times. And that feeling that, especially there's a lot of people and suddenly somebody comes on and he's crazy, that's happened to me before. And trust me,
Mhm.
like you will want somebody to step in and like be like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, no. I completely understand what you mean, yeah.
Like it'll be a relief to anybody sitting there that there's somebody actually coming, because you can't really go anywhere. This is like a place where, especially if there's people on the train, there's really nothing you can do. There's some weirdo and you're like, you kind of hope that the weirdo will just keep walking, or that the weirdo isn't violent. Maybe he's just saying, I've seen people like that before. Uh, I've seen a situation. You see a lot of crazy stuff on that subway over the years. Like I've seen a lot of
Oh,
stuff.
I'm sure. I'm
Uh,
sure.
Somebody like that looks like he's like taking a dump there. I don't know what's the thing. Like he went to the bathroom. I don't. Just a lot of crazy stuff. And like, what happens is like you have people on the train and they're really waiting for there to be a stop, and they're just thinking to themselves, well, the second there's a stop, we're getting you off here and going in
Mhm.
maybe another cart or whatever it is. And sometimes you have that moment where you can't even get up yet. So if there's somebody like doing crazy stuff on it, it really, it's a big deal. And meanwhile, you have like Whoopi Goldberg, and that's why I also saw it as sort
Yeah.
of like a pop culture thing.
Yeah.
Uh, so
Oh,
Dead
Whoopi.
Man, hopefully that.
Yeah. We also have a super chat from the dead man. We can
Oh,
get to
okay.
that real quick before we move on. It says Daniel Penny told the guy to beat it, but the other guy tried to act like a smooth criminal and continued to act bad. It was a thriller night.
I assume that what the Dead Man is referring to is that I guess they keep saying that he was did imitations of Michael Jackson.
Uh-huh.
That was another one of those disingenuous things of, they would put a picture of him like dressed like Michael Jackson. It's like, oh no, look, this man killed like a Michael Jackson impersonator. Yeah, it's not the Michael Jackson impersonating that had anybody,
No,
issues.
that's not what ended up
If
starting this
right, if this guy would have gone on
altercation.
the subway cart and he was like moonwalking and singing Billie Jean, nobody would care. That's the kind of thing that actually on the subway people enjoy. So if you're into that kind of thing and that's what you do, that would not have been an issue. Even with the mother and the child and all the people that said, that the guy was acting crazy, the guy like walks in and starts moonwalking and singing and he's actually good at it, nobody would have had an issue. That was not the issue.
Mm.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, thank you for the super chat, the dead man for
Thank you, the Dead
$5.
Man,
Just
and
and
I
you know what? I also know what I'm gonna request next time you're doing a karaoke stream. You're gonna be doing Thriller.
I'm gonna be doing Thriller. The
Yeah.
thing is that, I would have to sing it in a very low key. I don't,
It would be a little off, wouldn't it?
it would have to be like a whole different interpretation of the song because I just absolutely, Michael Jackson is not really a singer. You can just say, "Oh, I'll just sing Michael Jackson now." It's not really gonna work. He has such a unique voice, like, anything you do will sound, like, lame. The only person that I feel did something well is, Chris Cornell, who had a great voice himself.
Yeah.
He did, like, something that he's sitting with an acoustic guitar and did, like, his interpretation of Billie Jean. It's cool. It's
I think I've heard
different
that.
than Michael Jackson's. It's a cool kind of, idea, and Chris Cornell has such a fantastic voice that he could pull off something that it's like, okay, it's different than Michael Jackson, but it is Chris Cornell and it's cool. But most people can't do that. That's maybe the only case that I heard that somebody's like, "I'm gonna do a Michael Jackson cover," and, like, he did his own thing.
Yeah,
But, yeah,
that's about all you could, unless you are, like, a really good impersonator and you've got that same register, then
very, very
a
difficult.
all you could really do is just do your own interpretation.
Anyhow, so Whoopi Goldberg, and this is it. Now you see all these people popping up with their narratives. Yee, yee. Like they were upset because I guess after, this man's life was ruined, Daniel Penny, for a long time with all these trials and all this crap. So I
Yeah.
guess after he was acquitted, he went to a bar and he had a beer. And she's like, "What are you celebrating? You killed a guy." I don't know. Do they actually let her? Let's see if she plays it.
Bend, swerve, and floor it to your local mini dealer for unrivaled offers today.
No, thank you.
Can you hear the
Yeah.
commercial?
Yeah. And I ain't buying a mini.
So, there's been polarizing reaction to this verdict as well. I don't know. I don't know that seeing them celebrating in a bar made me comfortable. You know, I mean, you killed a guy. The man is dead, and maybe you take the celebration home. You don't do it outside. But that's just me. Don't listen to anything I say.
Yeah, that's the thing. How do we describe and subscribe danger and who is dangerous, right? This man got onto the train, and he said,
"Which one?"
Penny,
The victim.
The victim. I'm sorry, Neely, a former Michael Jackson impersonator. He talked about being hungry and thirsty, and he said he didn't care if he lived or died. There is no evidence that he attacked anyone. There's no evidence that he put his hands on anyone on this occasion. No one on the train would have known that he had touched someone before.
He did
Multiple
not,
people
he did
testified
not
that he
talk
didn't approach anyone in a
about it.
threatening manner. And so when you look at that and you look at the result of what happened, my question is, where is our compassion?
But
As a society, where is our compassion? And one other.
Okay. He did not talk about being hungry and tired and thirsty and needing a place. He didn't talk about that. He was screaming. He was screaming and flailing around. People said he was hitting on the doors and doing other things like that. He was out of control. Did he assault a person in this situation? No. But he had before, and there's no reason to believe he wouldn't have gotten to that point here. In fact, many of the people who were on that train, on that subway, in that car with Daniel Penny at the time, saw the same thing he did, and that was someone who was out of control and who could have at any moment turned on some of the passengers and started to injure them. This is not a guy who came on quietly and said, "Excuse me, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm tired." No. This guy was ranting and raving the top of his lungs, flailing around, and many people felt endangered. It's extremely disingenuous to just say, "Oh, he needed compassion." You weren't there. And you clearly haven't even watched the videos.
Kivo 1961 asks, did she see OJ's after trial party?
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is that I wouldn't call what I saw Daniel Penny doing a party. He just sat at a bar and drank a beer. I mean, listen, he for months had to deal for a while now with this thing. Imagine that you think that there's a chance that you're going to go in and you may go to jail for trying to protect people. And initially, when they couldn't reach an agreement on the bigger charge, I thought to myself, okay, well, if they couldn't reach an agreement on that one and they removed it, maybe this lesser charge is the one that they're actually going to say that they want to convict him on. And then the question is, what will be his, the sentencing and verdict, like what will be the sentencing? And that's what I thought would happen.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they then acquitted him on the second one really surprised me.
I think my assumption, was always that this would just be a hung jury. I'm extremely pleased to have seen that not guilty verdict, but my assumption, I think, for a long time was this would end up as a hung jury. They would not be able to come to a, would not be able to come to a quorum with everyone in the jury and make either a guilty or a not guilty verdict. So that's what happened with that first charge. Essentially, they said, we are not going to come to an agreement on this. And so they threw it out. And then, that was the manslaughter charge. And then the second one was negligent homicide. And then that one was the one that they found not guilty. So
now, and you see this on the thumbnail, we have
oh boy,
AOC's reaction. I don't know why this is paused so strangely on her face, but
everybody's favorite bartender.
But the thing with AOC is that I think I heard what she was saying before, and we'll hear it now. She actually knows a thing or two about New York. She's this is her district supposedly, or whatever it is, and she's supposed to. She's been on the subway before. I really feel like she's trying to peddle a certain narrative and certain agendas that she wants. But I don't think I think it's very disingenuous what she says. But let's listen to what let's listen to her thing.
Yeah.
Essentially said that he would do it again if necessary, if there was a present threat. What do you make of the comments?
Well, doesn't that, I just feel like that tells us everything. If we do not want violence on our subways, and the point of our justice system is a level of accountability to prevent a person who does not have remorse about taking another person's life. I mean, even people who have engaged in manslaughter or have taken a life accidentally express remorse. And so the fact that a person may express no remorse indicates that there's a risk that it may happen again. And if we do not want to unleash that level of violence, then we should exert a level of accountability to prevent that from happening again.
Essentially said that he would do.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I think it's funny because without any filters, she looks so weird. Like her eyes look like. Why are her eyes always so weird?
No telling.
Because I can really read people by the eyes, and I don't trust these eyes.
Oh, yeah. I listen to people's words, and I definitely don't trust her.
No, her words are bad, but even like, I don't like when I read her kind of, she has this like very concerning look. In any case,
So and she says he has no remorse. He's told his told people that yes, he is remorseful for the loss of life. What he said that he would do again is not, I would go on the subway and kill a dude. It's not what he has said. What he said is that yes, he would do it again. He would step up and protect other people in the same situation were it necessary. Right?
I like
that is what he has said.
Right, and I understand. I like what was written here by End Wokeness. Daniel Penny, U.S. Marine, 0 prior arrests, physically restrained, violent, homeless. Jordan Neely, homeless, plus on drugs, 44 preceding arrests, threatening to kill all passengers. AOC, Penny is why trains are unsafe. And yeah, that's essentially it. The thing is also, maybe now that she's like a fancy senator and she's been in that those circles, maybe she's forgotten what it means to be on a subway. And I say that as somebody that I've been on enough subways in New York City in my life. The fact that she's pretending that she doesn't know what this situation is, that's the really disingenuous parts. And I saw a lot of people in the comments saying, yeah, why don't you go? Why don't you go hang out at night on the subway? Why don't you go to a full subway in the middle of the night and see if there's some weirdos that want to get on the thing? It's really, I don't know if I'm looking at, is it clutching pearls, sticking your nose in the air? I don't really know. I don't know how to explain it, but it's a very kind of disconnected from regular people, the way she talks, because maybe she doesn't go on these trains anymore. Maybe she's not on the subway anymore, so she doesn't care, or she doesn't remember what it's like to be on the subway.
All I know, Price, all I know is I really hope she runs for president in 4 years.
I think she's going to, but I keep see, the thing is, I kept thinking that she's going to start like going more towards the center and presenting herself as more of like middle of the road. As of now, she hasn't done so yet. Usually when there's something really kind of dumb to say, she's there to say it.
I don't think she knows how to do that. I don't think she has enough presence of mind to actually in any way moderate what she says. I think she just spouts off about whatever she spouts off about. And it's going to be quite the ride to see her try and run for president.
Well, there's still a long time until then, so I never underestimate anybody. She does have a lot of social media followers, so I can't.
Oh yeah. She's everyone wants to see her social media. Watch her eating her French fries while she talks to the camera and whatnot.
No, but I
So
mean, listen,
weird. Price, do you eat French fries and talk to Instagram? I mean, does
I
that?
don't, but I will say that she does have a following. Is that following enough for her to do something? I don't know, but she
No.
does have. I guess I'll say this. As opposed to a lot of like Democrats that I've seen, she knows how to work the social media angle. She does
does.
know how to work that angle. Now, is that enough for her to get like the kind of support that she would be the president? I'm not sure. But I don't completely underestimate her in the sense that, you know, she at least she understands that angle, and that angle is important. But, you know, we have some time until then, and a lot of things can still happen.
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, she would have to win a primary, and
Oh yeah.
most of her answers are not that good usually, so we'd have to see.
A primary against Kamala in 4 years. Yeah.
The dead man says she already did go towards the center by backing Nancy Pelosi, and I think she's just gonna continue to do that.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think that's more of just a power thing than it is actually moderating her views in any way. Yeah.
I have Nudik says AOC is a hysterical and hyperbolic clown, and she'll probably be president. You never know.
If Kamala had won, I'd say it's probably a good chance that would happen. But I think a lot of people have woken up to some of the problems that we've been having for the past few years and why we've been having those problems. And I'm seeing a large number of, you want to look at the vote totals and the breakdown of who voted for Kamala and who voted for Trump and so on. And I'm seeing a lot of people in a lot of different areas, not just not just the white demographic, not just the older
No,
demographic, people in a lot of different
Trump was
areas.
able to really improve his numbers all across the board.
Yeah, just a lot of different demographics where I think people are have been waking up to exactly what identity politics has been doing to not just our government, not just our politicians, our society at large, and all the damage that it's been doing. And I think they're rejecting it. And I think we're
Right,
going to see some huge changes in the next few years.
and I think that this thing that's going on with Daniel Penny, even though we still see these kind of AOC and Whoopi Goldberg and these kind of meltdowns, I still think that the way this trial went down, the fact that people that were actually black, if I'm not mistaken, spoke on behalf of Daniel Penny, the fact that there was a diverse jury and they acquitted him. I think that if this was 2020 at the height of like the media pushing all these narratives and all this stuff going on and these riots, which really, uh, I disagreed with those riots. I thought that they were counterproductive, and I had many reasons why I was against them. I think that at the time the mainstream media was poisoning people with the type of narratives it was pushing. And this time,
You mean the mostly peaceful protests?
Definitely
Yeah.
that was a part of it, and the Summer of Love and all that stuff, and even there were Democrats that were pushing this narrative and all that good stuff. But I guess what I'm saying is that this time around, the way it unfolded was not like those other times, and I don't know if it's because it was so decisively wrong this time what they were trying to do and how they were trying to make him like Daniel Penny, like a Derek Chauvin or whatever it is, which was very different because it was a very different situation. Or maybe there's a shift and people have just had it. You know what I'm saying? The other thing is that all this migrants that you've put in New York City, all the crime going up, all the crime in the subway. It's not just that there's a few like white people walking around and it's a bother to them. This is a bother to everybody. You know what I mean? All the people that were riding that subway, it's not about politics. It's not about who you voted or didn't vote for. It's a matter of they're on these trains and they don't want to get assaulted. And there's a bunch of, and I think that Penny said this in the police precinct where he's like, there's so many crazies now, like on the subway or something like that. And it's true.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess that's what I'm trying to say here is that I'm hopeful, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but I'm hopeful that this signifies some kind of shift, that things are starting to maybe go in a direction where people have a little more common sense than they did 4 years ago. And I don't know if riots broke out, but I think that BLM, with their speech outside and calling for the riots, I don't even think that they have. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there'll be riots tonight, but I don't know, man. I wasn't feeling that suddenly everybody was going to go out now and riot.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, obviously they can always bring in their, bus in those black bloc professionals who seem to show up at all of these things and cause trouble. If those people
You know
show
what?
up,
Maybe
and
you're right. The
start
night is still
talking
young. They
bricks
can
and
bust
stuff,
some of
yeah,
those people in. Yeah.
yeah, who knows? But I would hope not. Obviously, no one wants to see that. That's extremely unpleasant, and obviously, a lot of politicians and police departments and so on really let those things get out of hand over the past few years. And honestly, I think people are sick of it. If you look at a lot of the stuff that's been happening in uh, California, there are measures all over the place, all over the state that were happening with tough on crime stuff going on. So, uh, and a lot of people voting for it. So, are you tweeting out our show there?
Oh,
You're still sharing that window.
well, it's okay. I mean, I wasn't doing anything bad. I just figured I'd tweet it out. Yeah, you know what? You can see my thought process live.
Hey.
I didn't share anything sensitive, right?
I don't think so. I saw you liking a few posts. I think.
All right.
But yeah, and I think people are really sick of hearing this stuff from the media as well. Have you seen some of the recent stories about how late night has just started to crash and burn over the past few weeks? Like the late night shows are just falling apart. Their viewership is gone after everybody came out with their everyone lost tonight, and, crying on air and all of that stuff after Trump won. It's it's pretty stark difference, the change in audience. People are done with hearing this. They don't want to listen to it anymore. And I think now, having seen so many people step up, vote for Trump, vote for some change in what's happening in DC, putting Republicans in office, not just in the presidency, but taking the Senate, taking the House. People are done with this. They're done with all of the crazy, LGBTQIA plus whatever diversity and equity inclusion stuff. They're done with all of the identity politics and the woke mind virus. They want to move on, because I think a lot of people initially thought, well, we should try something different, right? Maybe racism is a problem. Maybe there is systemic racism. Maybe I am part of the problem. And I think they've seen how disingenuous and how sick many of these ideas really are, how destructive they are, not just to, the government, but to their businesses, to their livelihoods. And they're done. They don't want to hear it anymore. They're not going to back it anymore. They're not going to be guilted into feeling this way anymore. And they're ready to move forward with something else and leave all of this stuff behind.
So I'm trying to find where did you see? Because I also remember something about the ratings going down. Do you know where you saw
Let me
this?
see if I can find something real quick. Where would I have seen it?
Here, I see this thing here. I'm going to share it.
Yep.
So you got not that relevant late night TV shows fading to black as even Colbert's leading late show sees audience drop 32%.
Yeah. Well, that
doesn't
one
give me the actual
that
article.
was back in October. So
Oh.
Let's see.
Let's see which. I need a newer one.
So that was
Recent.
falling even before. Well, there's one.
I can't seem to find, but I bet you that it is happening. I mean, first of all,
Here's one. It's not as updated as I would like, but I can share it here.
You can do it, yeah.
Yeah. So the post-election declines. This is not the one I was looking at earlier, but talking about how they have not taken nearly the massive drop that some of the channels like MSNBC and CNN have taken. But we can see the November 11th Nielsen's down 12% total viewers, 18% in 18 to 49. The Jimmy Kimmel Live, 4% in total, 19 in the 18 to 49. So, down +5 and -27 respectively from the week prior. So there's a lot of viewers that are leaving. I wish I had some that had a little bit clearer numbers. I don't know all the industry jargon that's on this one, but it's clear that some of these shows are taking a huge hit. People are just done. They don't have an interest in hearing this anymore. Interestingly enough, though, you have The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, who's actually, I think, moderating just a little bit. Trying to actually wrap his head around why we saw the just massive defeat of Democrats in basically every arena in this past election, and trying to wrap his head around what the problem was. And he's one of those that is actually starting to recognize a little bit that, hey, maybe our constant drumming on race and calling everyone awful people and everything, maybe this might have been part of the problem.
Yeah, listen. Jon Stewart, at least back in the day, I sometimes, even if I didn't agree with his politics, I didn't mind listening at least to some of his opinions and takes. I do feel that over time, and also during this election, I feel like they made sure that he peddled the right narratives, and even when he kind of colored outside the lines, he still managed to push those narratives. Somehow, after after Trump won, I feel like on a number of occasions he's been a little more balanced. He's still not 100%, and he still finds his places to shove those propaganda that he likes. But I do feel that there were a few moments that he kind of broke away from the more mainstream narrative, and he's always had that instinct. I mean, I honestly think that Jon Stewart, if he wasn't embraced so much by the left and expected to be that and all that, if he was more like sort of Bill Maher in the sense that he just does whatever he wants, I think that he would have been more center, maybe.
Yeah,
because it's not the first time that I've seen him suddenly go off and stray from the type of talking points that he's expected to peddle. But at the end of the day, he still plays for that team. So, and in certain moments, he'll still suddenly go back to pushing whatever narrative that he's sort of expected.
Oh yeah, he definitely has his own narratives, his own politics that he wants to push and what he's delivering. But at the very least, I do feel like he genuinely has been trying to maybe wrap his head around what's happening and try and maybe disconnect his particular politics from and maybe try to just a little bit to recognize that maybe it is just at least a little bit the fault of the Democrats and the liberal wing of that party. That
Tim Hayes says that guy has TDS really bad. It's funny because The Daily Show is TDS.
Yeah,
but he really does have TDS. He does have TDS. He does
quite a bit.
And first of all, Colbert has the most TDS. I think that Jon Stewart has a little less than Colbert, but yes, he also has it. And there's certainly a lot of things that he says and does that I don't appreciate, but I will say that there have been times, even, and the one thing I give him credit for, him fighting for the firefighters in Congress, so that the 9/11 first responders, that for me, even in times where he really annoys me, still got to give him a few points for that. And there's a lot that he says I don't agree with, and he's been more annoying in recent years. I used to like him more, I think, over the years than I liked him less. But I will say that I think he did well with those first responders. That was, at least you could say that he did something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jon Stewart called out the Coup BS on Colbert. He started saying things about where it originated, and it looked like they cut to commercials and they were begging him to shut up.
Oh yeah, I mean he was vicious on that, and the truth, guess what? He was right.
Right.
And now officially the federal government recognizes that the most likely source of this virus was from
Right.
a building in
th-
Wuhan, China, where it seemed to have started, that's named after coronavirus research.
the thing is that anybody that was pretending that that's not the case at the time was really just being annoying, and there were plenty of people. It just showed how many dumb people there were. I mean, the thing is that I wasn't going out there and blaming every person who's Asian because there was that thing, but to say that there was a lab there that tests for this thing, and then there's the virus, it's really hard not to connect those dots.
Yeah.
And the idea that a bat was at a wet market. He was at the wet market. The bat. Remember that story? There was a bat that flew to the wet market, and because he flew to the wet market and ate food there, it made everybody get the coup. Right? Was that the story?
That someone there was a bat, and then they ate bat soup, and then the bat soup gave them whatever, and or that there was like that there was a bat, and then it somehow it went from a bat into a pangolin, and then somebody ate the pangolin. Like there were so many just absurd stories.
Absurd stories. The thing that he went to the marketplace and and the bat ate they ate the bat or whatever. It was such nonsense. I can't believe that they tried to sell this story with the marketplace and the bats. It was dumb. I never believed it. I never believed it for a second.
Yeah.
It was either just my opinion, of course, either it was purposely released from that thing or accidentally released from that thing, or maybe there's a final thing that could happen, which they also didn't want to say. What if they tested, let's say, a bat inside that place, and somebody said, hey, you know what, I'll take this thing and I'll make I'll do what's it called? Like on the grill. You know what I mean? He's like, instead of going to the supermarket, why don't I take this thing and I'll do a little bit of like souvlaki, like grilled like on the bar. You know what I'm trying to say? Like
a little bat on the Barbie.
On the Barbie, yeah, exactly. And then somebody's like, cool, I don't have to go to the marketplace. I'll just take this bat here. And then he took the bat and then maybe he ate it. Those are the options that I'm thinking. You know what I mean? That's what it seems like to me. But and that's what it seemed like to me then. You know what I mean? Like I never believed this story that the bat flew from here to there. It was just so dumb.
No, absolutely by far the most likely thing that happened was that the people inside this research institute who were working with bats were not taking all the precautions they were supposed to. And in fact, when studying these viruses and studying them in the bats, some of it came over and got transferred to a human. There's no reason there has to be some convoluted thing that happened in between there. That's what they were studying. They had bats in the area. Those are some of the most likely carriers and some of the most likely ways that could infect a person. And so
here, Phantom Outsider says what I thought. A bat from the lab was sold to the wet market and somebody ate it, but they deleted from the lab part. And I agree.
Yeah.
That is
I mean, it's entirely possible as well.
so Bush
Somebody.
McFadden says that a lot of people believe the bat story.
Yeah.
I think that the bat story could be real, but not in the way they told it. Only that they were maybe experimenting on bats, and then, like everybody is saying here, including me and Phantom Outsider, or who said, yeah. So basically, and it could be different animals. I mean, I think he says that a lot of animals were being tested and all this stuff. There's corruption in these type of places. I do believe that there was
There
probably
absolutely is.
there
Yeah.
totally could have been a wise ass that thought to himself, why don't I take these like things that we've experimented on, they're already gone, I'll bring it to the marketplace and people will eat it.
Yeah, I'll sell it for a few bucks.
Yeah, I'll sell it
Right.
for a few bucks. That
Instead
is
of
possible.
instead of burning it up in a in the little furnace or whatever, to make sure that it's clean up. Well, I'll just sneak it out and I can sell it at the market and I make a few bucks off of it. Whatever. Yeah, that's very, very possible.
Well, we have the dead man and Bush McFadden talking about this kind of function
Yes.
research and
Yes.
these people. I
That
don't
we paid
want to.
for. That we
What'd you
paid
say?
for. That we paid for
Yep.
through. Yeah.
I don't trust any of the people that were involved in this thing.
Nope.
All these people that said all that stuff, and I mean, it all seemed kind of weird then, but it seems like I like these people even less now. But yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
that there's certain things that we'll never fully know what happened. Like a lot of times when something like this happens, I think that probably certain things are not shared with the public, but nothing really we can do. By the way, if you're watching this show and you enjoy what we do, make sure to put a like on wherever there's a like button. Do like. If you're not already following us, if you're on Rumble, if you're not already following us, you should follow us. On YouTube, you should subscribe. Not only to me, but also Professor R2 has an account here on Rumble. So you're welcome to sub to that. I think on YouTube you also have a channel, right, Professor?
I do. Yeah.
So any platform you're on, you check out Professor R2. That is also cool to do. And yeah, but if you're listening on Rumble, I know some people listen, but they're not always signed up for Rumble. They just kind of do it through the app. But I do recommend that you sign up for Rumble because it's a great platform and it supports freedom of speech. And that's where our headquarters are at here. That's, for this show, our, kind of powered by Rumble. So if you're watching this, you should definitely sign up. And if you sign up and you feel like also liking and following, it's also great. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, and we appreciate your support.
Absolutely. And yeah, so that was how did we get now to talk about
We're doing the Trump weave. We're just going back and forth. Yeah.
That's our conversations. Our conversations are just kind of, they flow. There are a few points that we like to go over, but generally speaking, we kind of go with the flow. And I always appreciate that. I also appreciate all the people in the chat that hang out with us regularly. And it's great. So I guess, hey, Tim Hayes, how's it going? And I appreciate that you posted that thing. I saw after that I saw that you posted it, which is nice of you. I guess back to what were we talking about? How did we get to this bats
AOC,
and stuff? Late night, AOC and the late night.
Then we kind of went
on
to talk, just talking about kind of how the messaging, the propaganda, all this seems like it is starting to people are starting to wake up. They're starting to maybe ignore or just turn off a lot of these different sources that have been kind of in charge for the last few years. They've kind of been bossing everybody around, telling them what to think, what to do, and so on. And I think a lot of people are just waking up. They're not interested in hearing it anymore, and they know that they can turn it off. They can walk away, and they don't have to feel guilty about it. Oh boy, Y2K. Did you see this one, Price?
I did see it.
Oh boy,
I posted a video.
That was an adventure.
I don't want to say that, there was I posted a review somewhere, and I don't know, it acted strangely. Initially there was like a wave of people that saw it, but quickly something strange happened to it. In any case, I've seen this movie. For starters, let's just say obviously Rachel Zegler She's probably one of the least liked Hollywood celebrities out there. There's really no other way to describe it. Now,
Oh,
I will say
why
that.
would that be, Price? Why would people dislike lovely little Rachel Zegler?
Well, here's the thing: is that initially I was more kind of forgiving. You know, if you look back at my channel, you won't see a million Rachel Zegler videos and things like that, because I thought to myself, she's a young lady and she needs somebody kind of to explain to her that she's acting like a little brat. And maybe sometimes kids or young ladies that are successful early in life, the success goes to their head. And there was some empathy for her for me, because I could tell she's a dumb little girl. But over time, the more stuff she does, the more she's getting older. uh you really can't use that excuse anymore, meaning she's a grown woman now. You can't just continue to act that way and expect that everything's going to be great. I think that anytime you give her a microphone, she's just super condescending and annoying. Anytime she weighs in on an issue, bashing people that voted for Trump, and that's never smart to do. There's over 50% of the people in the country that voted for him. What are you bashing them for? You need them to go to your stupid movie. And that's probably why Disney made her apologize, even though, people aren't that dumb. They know when somebody's saying that kind of stuff, and they don't forget it. So I don't think that she's really building a lot of goodwill from fans. Let's not forget that she wanted Gina Carano fired, and also did posting at the time stuff about her. Uh, Also, what she did with Gal Gadot. That after that trailer came out,
Yeah.
and people were saying that she was prettier than her, she went to Twitter and she had that thing where she wanted to, you know.
Didn't she also try to get Jeremy Renner canceled too?
Yeah, I think
Wasn't he
so
one
too.
of her targets at one point?
Every time that she can just that there's some kind of thing where she could pop up and be the most annoying thing possible. That's what she does. Not to mention how she complained in the strike that she's standing around in her dress and all that stuff about her being a leader, and what she comes off as so condescending and annoying, and it's just time after time. And at the end, I think at the end she maybe I'm wrong, but there may be a moment of sort of that she'll have to humble herself, and it may be too late at that point. But the original movie that she was in, that kind of was her debut, was the Steven Spielberg movie. If you remember, there was West Side Story. Now, because of West Side Story, after Spielberg cast her, people were like, wow, Spielberg discovered this girl, he thinks she's good. So Disney immediately wanted her for Snow White. Basically, they wanted her for Snow White before West Side Story came out, thinking that West Side Story would be a hit and that everybody would love her. Now, yes, people remind me she was nominated for a Golden Globe. Nobody cares about the Golden Globes these days or any of this crap. The movie didn't succeed in the theater. You remember, right? The West Side Story wasn't a hit.
Oh no, it was a bomb. And first of all, did not need to be remade. Just another
Not at all.
totally misguided remake. The original musical itself is brilliant and touching. Obviously, just a retelling of Romeo and Juliet in a different setting with sort of different ethnic background. And then the original film version of that is also magnificent. Great cinematography, amazing direction, great set design and costuming. It's beautiful. I'm not a huge musical fan, and I enjoy that film. I don't know why you would think that needed to be remade, but hey, Spielberg is just being Spielberg, so whatever.
I mean, it's not the original one isn't something that I want to watch 50 times, but the songs are memorable. At least, it's sort of a pop iconic thing. There was really no point in remaking it. He didn't bring anything that important to the table. I just want to say, Marlo Sharendorf, hi, how's it going? I love Snow White, but not this version. Marla is a friend of the channel. And so they saw that he hired her. So it's one of those Hollywood things. Oh, he hired her, we'll hire her. So then they hired her for Snow White. Meanwhile, Hunger Games saw all of this. Whoever produced it, I don't remember now, even produced that stupid movie. You can Google if you want, but it doesn't even matter. Whoever produced that, they're like, well, if they think she's great, well, we need her for our Hunger Games prequel. And then I guess amidst all of this, somebody came and said, hey, I have some crappy 2-bit horror movie. Do you want to be in that? And also paid her a few $1 million. And basically she went for four roles, and Shazam 2. She had like a smaller, that's like a supporting role. So she went for all of these roles, committing to them at around the same time. Her agent did good work, to try to squeeze offers from everybody and like hit the iron while it's hot. But now we're already seeing the results. West Side Story flop. So that wasn't a success. So she can't say, I'm some big box office draw. Everybody loves me. That movie was a failure. Next, Shazam 2. She's not the star of that, but let's just say that her presence didn't help move the needle there either. That movie, there's a lot of things that could be said about that movie. It also, it was at a point where Zaslav didn't even care about that whole universe that they set up, and so many inconsistencies were done with that universe that those movies that came out at the tail end really, they weren't heavily marketed, and they were sort of like lame duck movies at that point. So it didn't help. The first Shazam, for whatever it's worth, I thought that it was somewhat decent.
It was.
Yeah.
It was
I
decent.
really thought that the first Shazam was somewhat decent. I don't know if it even needed a second one, but nevertheless, she didn't move the needle there, and it's not like because she was in it, people flocked to the theater. Next, after that, you have, the Snow White one hasn't come out. That looks like it's going to be a disaster, but we'll have to wait and see. But then you have basically this Y2K movie. Now, Y2K, what's interesting about it, it's like a low-budget kind of horror comedy, and I've seen it. It's a low-budget horror comedy movie. Usually when they do these kind of low-budget movies that the budget is $15 million, and maybe they spend some money on marketing, they're expecting that maybe whoever's in the movie, like a Rachel Zegler or whatever it is, that'll be enough that a few people will go see it. But even though it was a $15 million budget, which, it doesn't need a gazillion dollars to break even, in its opening weekend, it made $2 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's considered terrible. That is an absolute disaster. And
it didn't even, I don't think it even made the top 15.
I don't think so. I think it was a disaster. But what I will say is this: if they would have put somebody like Jenna Ortega in the same movie, even if the movie is crap, I think it would have broken even. Just because people like Jenna Ortega.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You would have said,
like
she's kind of a teen. Yeah. It's funny. There's comedy. It's eerie. It's whatever. Some people that like Wednesday, that like Beetlejuice, whatever, to that momentum, they would have gone to see it. Even if it's a complete piece of crap, they probably would have gone to see it. Zegler doesn't move the needle. She's not a box office draw. This is more proof that she's not a box office draw. Now, I'm not just saying that just to be mean. I don't think she is. And that's what's funny is that a woman who actually is not the big star that she thinks she is, she's always so condescending and has all these like terrible takes and opinions, and she's always like trying to cancel people and do all this weird stuff. At the end, none of her movies are a success. So Y2K is a complete failure. Now, I watched Y2K, and I'll just give my thoughts on the movie. Basically, it's sort of, do you know anything about it?
Yeah, it's supposed to be sort of a story about there's some teenagers. I guess it's a comedy or like a horror movie comedy mix, right? And then it's supposed to be teenagers, and like it's Y2K, and then bunch of technology goes crazy and like attacks them, I guess. So the toaster wakes up and starts fighting them. I don't know.
Yeah, basically, it's a nostalgia throwback to, it's supposedly taking place on, the last day of 1999. And at the center of the story, there's these two dudes that are like, high school kids, but they're kind of dorks. And they kind of drink, and they want to go to this New Year's party, and they want to hit on girls. And then they arrive, and of course, like the guy that's sort of the main guy, the girl of his dreams, as he calls it, is Rachel Zegler. And he's at the party, and he really likes her, but I guess I don't think she likes him. I don't know what. Some teen crap, I don't know. In any case, it turns out that she's like the greatest computer programmer ever. That's well established in the movie that she's the best computer programmer. And then what happens is that the clock strikes midnight. The first 30 minutes is sort of very much a kind of standard teen kind of thing, but then the clock strikes at midnight, and suddenly these machines start attacking people. Now, the machines attacking people, in my opinion, on a science fiction level is kind of weak. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's a CD player, so it like shoots a CD and kills somebody. You know, it doesn't seem. I understand that they were going for the Y2K bug, but I just don't see the CD player killing people with CDs. It's like, come up with any kind of other explanation. The Y2K and the thing that they were talking about just doesn't. It's just dumb. You know what I mean? Yes, I understand that you know, some ideas in these kind of horror movies are, you know, are silly or you know, unrealistic. But at least a lot of these movies have sort of have a way of establishing whatever it is that's going on. They still do some work to explain why there's suddenly Jason or why there's Freddy Krueger. Somebody still tries to explain something. Some, like, you know, CD player, like shooting a CD, or a video cassette, like shooting a video player, shooting a video cassette. I don't know what to tell you.
I guess, yeah. I think I saw that in the trailer. There's like a video cassette flying really fast. It's somebody.
Right. And then the thing is that hey, Sebrew, Sebrew says, oh, hail chat, hail Professor Live in R2. Okay, thanks, man. So basically, now I'll just continue to tell the story. The machines come to life. They also start like connecting with each other. So if you're like a toy car, you connect with a computer. How exactly do you connect? How does that work? That's what I'm saying. It doesn't come together in a science fiction way. It's like I told you, even in science fiction, you have to create some explanation that whoever's watching will be like, ah, okay, I get it. Like, that's how this is happening. Even if it's complete nonsense, your brain has to accept it. If it just looks like crap and it's stupid, then you're not getting the job done. In any case, some of the kids are killed. I don't know what. They start running other kids. Like, they want to go into the forest because I guess there's like not computers there. I don't know what. They go there, and then basically Rachel Zegler, you know, the main guy, keeps telling her, you're the best like computer programmer. You could stop it. You could like hack into it and like put a virus that'll stop them, or I don't know what. And then she, like, at the beginning, she's like, she's not sure, but then she's like, yes, like, together we can go now. We'll stop the machines. And then, like, they decide to go to this, like, you know, place where all the machines are at and take them out with this virus or something like that. Or she has to run an algorithm. Who knows? It's so dumb. Now, as they're going there, they suddenly, in the third act, they meet, sorry, spoilers, they meet Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit.
Seriously.
No, I'm serious. I'm 100% serious. Now, he plays as if he's like playing a younger one, but he looks older, and they're like, who cares? Like, nobody even tried to de-age him. They're just like, whatever. And then he's there, and he decides that he wants to join them or something to help them get rid of the machines. And then they go to the place where there's all these machines that are already like assimilating people, kind of like in Star Trek with the Borg. And the person that, like, one of the people that helps breaks the chain here is that Fred Durst, for some reason, sings George Michael's Faith. I don't know why he sings it. It's really, really dumb. And meanwhile, Rachel Zegler goes to, like, you know, the mainframe. I don't know where, like, one of those main computers are, and she uploads, like, some software that she did to ruin them. I don't know what. In any case, they managed to destroy all the robots, and then life seems to go back to normal, and the movie kind of ends. But it's totally dumb. But here's what I think. There was a kernel of an interesting idea here. The 1990s idea, and to have a horror movie taking place then, even if we're today and we're filming something that looks like a horror movie, like some dangerous thing happened in 1999, that would be interesting. I think that there were certain design, or that there's kind of showing like throwbacks to the 90s. I didn't hate every idea there. It's just like it never comes together. And I think the person that wrote and directed this is this guy, Kyle Mooney from Saturday Night Live. I guess he's just not strong enough at writing and directing and all that. And he even acts in this movie. He's just all right. I think maybe they thought he was a bigger talent than he was.
Would it have saved the movie if instead of Fred Durst, they had Rage Against the Machine?
I mean, I personally consider Rage Against the Machine a better band, so I would have liked that better. But I think that it doesn't even really matter. It's just
But they would have been raging against the machine.
I see what
Right.
you mean. Yeah, that would have made a lot more sense, I guess. But Dead Man says, I loved it better when this movie was called The Matrix. Trust me, this is nowhere near The Matrix. The Matrix is
It's
a real
not
movie.
The Matrix.
This is like embarrassing. You know what I mean?
You know what it sounds like? It reminds me more of Chopping Mall. Have you seen that?
No, what is that?
Oh, that is a classic. That is my brain is not. I'm trying to remember who all was in that. I know it was a Roger Corman produced. Oh, he's Barbara Crampton. Yeah. Who was in it? Is a techno horror film. And there's these 3 high-tech security robots in a mall, and they sort of go crazy and they start killing people. It's absolutely wild. And it's really fun. Just an absurd horror movie film, but yeah, it's about the technology going crazy and them fighting against these robots that are killing everybody. It's been forever since I've seen it, but it's a lot of fun.
If they ever did a biopic on AOC, maybe Zegler can play her.
There you go. That would work.
That would work. Finally, a role she could be good at.
She kind of have those dead eyes.
That's how I'm looking at the eyes.
Yeah.
Somebody else told me that today, by the way. He's like, they're kind of similar.
Yeah.
In any case, the movie itself, I like the 90s nostalgia. Didn't mind that. I like, I'm trying to think what else I liked. There was something. Okay. I didn't mind that there were some elements that they tried to make a little humorous, a little levity. Didn't mind it. But the problem is that this specific movie, it tries to be like a comedy, a drama, like a teen drama, horror, and really it doesn't manage to do any of these things. Like it fails at everything. Doing a horror comedy is tough. That is a tough thing. If you have like Dale and what's his name? Dale and I can't remember this name.
Oh,
Dale
and Tucker Against Evil, is that the name of it?
Yeah, Against Evil. See that movie, for example, which also a friend of mine, showed that movie to me at some point. The thing is that movie manages to be funny at parts, but it's also kind of a horror movie. Even a movie like Cocaine Bear, which certainly had its issues, I still enjoyed that more. At least there's like a bear, and there's some moments that I chuckled. It knows that there's a little bit of humor there. A good horror comedy movies, there's a way to do it, but you have to do it right, and it's not easy to find that balance. And I feel like this movie doesn't find that balance. And then, as far as Zegler goes, I think that she's probably like one of her best performances. I say this in my review, is that it's not necessarily that it's such a great performance, but like every scene with her, there's like 7 other kids next to her. And somehow it softens the blow. She becomes a little less annoying because there's just like a bunch of like, teenagers next to her and like, doing a bunch of things. She just, you don't notice her as much. But this is very much like she's the main star of this movie. She's the quote unquote big star of this movie. And this movie is a complete disaster. And like I said, I think that even the same movie with all of its issues and how like, not great it is, I think that if you would have put Jenna Ortega there, probably would have done better.
Oh, well, yeah, I'll take Jenna Ortega over Rachel Zegler.
I mean, honestly, think to yourself that you write like Y2K, just write like Y2K, and then you put like Jenna Ortega in 90s clothes just standing there. That's your poster. Jenna Ortega, it's the 90s. It says Y2K. She's looking up. I promise you that people wouldn't even know what that movie is about. If they would have added something even a bit spooky, I think that would have actually added, because she kind of is in spooky stuff. Add like some log line that's like, tag or tagline, whatever you want to call it, that's like spooky. Put like Jenna Ortega looking like 90s-ish with like a title that says Y2K. You break even at least. At least you break even.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the movie would have made like $1 gazillion at the box office. It didn't need to. The budget was $15 million. At minimum, Ortega brings back the $15 million. In my opinion.
Yeah. But yeah, so far not doing it. So I think you said like 2 million for this first weekend. Is all they
Yeah,
brought in?
no, it's not looking good. If 2 million is your opening weekend, I don't know what to tell
Yeah.
you. It has to make, let's say, like 15 and times 2 is 30, and it's probably like, you have to do like 2.5 at least. And don't forget there was marketing and all this other stuff.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
thinking that probably 40 million. You have to make over 40 million in order to break even. We're 40 million at the worldwide box office. As of now, it doesn't look possible.
Oh no, no. I hadn't really been looking at this particular movie in the charts, but I had been keeping up with a couple of others. Everyone was saying that Wicked was going to be breaking $1 billion. That's not happening. Uh, there's a couple others too, but yeah, no, this definitely is not one that I would have gone out to see. Y2K. The trailers did absolutely nothing for me. I didn't find them interesting at all. Honestly, the horror comedy genre, there's been a bunch of films that I don't really like. Your traditional horror movies. I've never been fond of those. I find most of them to be absurd and comedic in their own way. Anyway, just the classic horror movie, the slasher flicks and stuff from the 80s. They're really silly to me. I don't really care for them at all. But there's been a number. I'm thinking just off the top of my head, like Shaun of the Dead. Just outstanding movie, very very funny. Gets the horror element in there, but also lots of laughs. Uh, obviously like Army of the Dead would be another one. The third of those movies. The first two were a little more. Sorry, I just say Army of the Dead. Army of Darkness. Sorry, that's what I meant. Army of Darkness. The third of those films from the Evil Dead films from Sam Raimi. Very enjoyable, very very funny. Yeah, there's a lot of great horror comedies, but yeah, this is not one that would have had any appeal to me at all. So, it looks like my YouTube chat locked up, so I just reloaded it. We do have a super chat. We've got another one from the Dead Man.
Oh, the Dead Man.
For
Cool. Thanks, man.
$4.99. Thank you once again, the Dead Man. It says it's back when we were talking about bats and the bat theories. He says, or was it a Return of the Living Dead? They burn a bat in a furnace and it gets in the air, and then a woman dances naked in a graveyard.
So many so many options to
Yes.
what could have gone on with those bats.
Lots of ways that stuff gets out there. So, oh boy, Skeleton Crew. Ready to move on to Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, Skeleton Crew, this episode, and I was telling you before we started streaming, I watched it before our stream, and I was fighting not to fall asleep while watching it. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
You could say maybe you're very tired, maybe, but I will say that prior to watching it, I also caught up on Landman, and I didn't fall asleep in that at all. And then this thing, just I was fighting it. Like I understand that maybe for somebody this is good, but I can't ignore the fact that I think this show is kind of stupid and boring. In any case, the episode starts off and you have this low energy father guy. He's like, "Ooh, where's my son?" And like, I don't know. He's just, no matter what happens, this guy looks like he's gonna take a nap. Then you have this like
Yeah.
lady, the stunning and brave
The
leader or whatever.
undersecretary, yes, who's Fern's mother.
Fern's mother, that she's like the girl boss mother of the girl boss.
Yes, and there's KB's mothers.
Because of course they couldn't pass up on the opportunity to put a few mothers in. Now, I want to say something. I always say this. It's not like the fact that there's two mothers is like that's the end of the world for me. It's just the fact that I can't remember when they just show something where there's a mother and a father and a good family doing something. They always have to do this. It's like they can't show a man and a woman in a couple that looks normal. They just can't do it. And that's the part that it starts getting annoying. I mean, at the end of the day, people that are not in that group of like, people that are in the LG or whatever group, that is considered a much smaller percentage of society. Now, I'm not saying they should, I don't care what people do and it's all fine. I'm just saying that when you make shows and it keeps saying, oh, it has to represent the world we live in today. Well, if it has to represent the world we live in today, then you'd be seeing more just standard couples.
Mm-hmm.
Standard, I mean like a man and a woman. Now, again, if all the shows really showed this kind of family unit and all that stuff, and they didn't have all this kind of anti-male, anti-patriarchy propaganda,
Yeah.
I would have said, okay, well, they did this here, it's fine. You know what I mean? It's not like I have better things to do with my time. But the fact that they sit around and this is all they care about and they obsess over it,
Yeah.
it's exactly the reason why at the end their projects, whoever sits around and focuses on this instead of the writing and actually making a good show, don't be surprised that at the end that's the way these shows look.
Oh yeah. And again, it's not that, that we can't ever see a gay couple in a show, or we can't ever have a gay character, or whatever, but it's a matter of proportionality. It's completely blown out of proportion when absolutely every show, one of the main characters has to be gay. Absolutely every show, there has to be a gay relationship there, and we can't show a positive heterosexual relationship.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's not like you see a normal family and then they're just hetero or whatever, and then you see like some gay people or whatever it is. No, it's like for them, the hetero thing is bad. The white thing is bad.
Yeah.
It's like a show that you won't find a lot of white people on this show. You won't find, certainly not positive white people.
No.
You could say, well, Jude Law's like, yeah, Jude Law, every second you see him on the screen, they may imply that he's a bad dude. I don't know if that'll change or if he'll have a change of heart, but he's not exactly being presented in a positive light. Until now, at least.
Nope.
In any case, the mothers are here. Are you still with me?
Still here.
And then they're like, well, the robot's like, they have crossed the barrier. We can't get them back. So see you later. And they're like, wait a minute. What our daughter? We need she has an urgent medical needs. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
you cannot get them. Goodbye.
You got these walking CCTV cameras going everywhere.
Right. And then I guess here's another thing. And this really just annoys me. Basically, episode 1 was just a bunch of filler as far as I'm concerned, where at the end they have to get on the ship. So like they decided we need to get them at the ship at the end no matter what, even if the story doesn't flow there organically, which I think it doesn't in the first one.
Nope.
Second one, they're in that not Mos Eisley Cantina place, and they're like, okay, well, they're here this episode.
Yep.
And the third one, it's like implied they're going to leave. Instead of cutting to them already on a ship and leaving, which I would have preferred, now it's a whole like saga of them getting out. And somehow this saga, I didn't love it.
Yeah. I will say I am surprised. Spoilers, everybody. I'm surprised that not only did they have, the character of, what was it, Jod Nanawood? It's Jude Law's character. He's actually Captain Silvo, and they actually call that out. They call him Captain Silvo.
Right. So they managed to whatever that first thing that could have been like a mystery, they ruined that too.
Yeah, and then they call him Crimson Jack. So his name is Jack Silvo. Like Long John Silver. It's called Jack Silver.
I see.
In the Treasure Island books. They're not very creative. Let's just put it that way.
They don't seem that way.
No. And then of course, his protege in that, and his weak spot in the story of Treasure Island was Jim. And of course he has Whim here in this show. So yeah, it's kind of.
So you think it'll be like he'll have a change of heart and he'll be less of a douche?
Well, if you actually if they're going to cleave very close to the story of Treasure Island throughout the book, Silver has a soft spot for Jim, right? He sees him as being adventurous, as being smart, being very quick on his feet and clever, and so he has a soft spot for him. Sees him being potentially being a great pirate, being this great thing. So he has kind of a soft spot for him and protects him in a number of different situations. But then of course in the end, he runs off on his own, takes his money and runs. But I'm not sure exactly how that will play out in this show, but I think that's a lot of what we're going to see. We're going to see sort of a budding relationship between the two of them, not necessarily a strong relationship, but one where he's kind of, wondering about, what, or Wim is wondering about what his life is like, and listening to the adventures that, Scarlet Jack, whatever his name was, and then kind of, he, Jack starts to look out for Wim and protect him in some situations. I don't, we'll see how close they go, how close they get to the actual Treasure Island story as things go through. But it's interesting that we kind of already, they've already sort of gotten rid of a potentially huge mystery in there. Like, who is he? And is he actually a Jedi or not? They basically, in this one, they're like, no, he's not a Jedi. And no, actually, he's this pirate captain. Like, they just open up and say it in the third episode. It's fascinating to not at least save that for a little bit longer, save some mystery there. But it's interesting that also some of the characters, don't believe him initially, don't trust him. But of course, it's the girls, because they're smarter than these silly little boys. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. The thing is that when I saw Jude Law, I will say that anytime he's on screen, he at least brings something, a little bit of gravitas that actually you feel that there's a real actor there.
Yeah, yeah. Jude Law is a great actor. He's been in a number of
He's
different
solid. He's
productions.
solid.
I've
And
really
this
enjoyed him. Yeah.
This is really, once you see him, like every scene, he brings a little something to the scene. But as much as I think that he's really doing a lot of heavy lifting in this episode, if you really look at it and separate the fact that he's I don't know, say chewing the scenery, whatever it is, trying to make this thing work, at the end, it's really dumb. Because initially what happens is they're in that place, they get out, and what's funny is whoever's writing this show, they know that they're making mistakes with the writing, but the way that they correct their mistakes is that they have the kids explain that they're making a mistake. What do I mean? The second the episode begins, the little girl tells Jude Law, she's like, "Hey, if you could use the Force and get the key, why didn't you, do that earlier when you were here?" Which that's what I was asking last time. If he can use the Force theoretically, why did he need to do this? So then he just said, well, if I would have done that, I wouldn't have had a ship. So what would be the point? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That kind of seemed dumb. And then he's like, okay, well, let's get out of here. So he kind of goes out. It almost felt like that scene from Obi-Wan Kenobi where he's hiding like Leia in his back pocket or whatever it is. Somehow Jude Law rolls out the kids. I mean, just shortly, I don't know how much time has passed, but it's not a million years. These kids were like everybody, like the whole town, like whatever this is, stopped what they were doing to focus on these kids. So now he's just bringing them back, and it's really hard to hide that elephant kid and all that stuff, but he somehow just does it.
Well, it's hard to hide kids, period, in this thing. And they don't even do the ridiculous Obi-Wan Kenobi show thing where they try to tuck him under a jacket. They walk through. They walk right through the crowd. The pirate captain, who everyone there should know, and the kids, who everyone in a very high profile situation just like a day ago saw these kids, and
right, that's what I'm saying.
They just walk through and nobody cares.
Everybody knows this captain. Everybody knows these kids are a big deal, and now the captain is walking around with the kids. Nobody cares. Nobody notices. They're all just minding their own business. Just really, really odd. But then, it gets even worse. So they start going the thing, and then the little girl, she's like, this was too easy. Which, again, that's what I was thinking when she said it. Now, either this is some weird, the John Watts is playing 4D chess here, and at the end, it'll turn out that there's a reason why he was able to use the Force for the keys, and, this is some kind of bigger setup here with it's too easy. I hope that's the case, because otherwise, I agree, this is all dumb. In any case, they get on the thing, and then they're like, well, we can't leave without our robot. So he's like, what do you mean? He's like, well, you got to go get it. And it's like, I don't fully understand why is it in his best interest to go get the droid?
Yeah.
Why does he need him? If I were him, I would just say, children, sit down and shut up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm not going back now into the battlefield to bring this droid. That who knows? Maybe they dismantled him. Maybe they took him apart into 50 million pieces. He's going to go get a droid now. I couldn't understand what their leverage was. At the end of the day, were they trying to say that, like, maybe? But no, they could still take off on this ship. They didn't need the droid
Yeah.
for it.
No, well, I mean, they say, oh, well, the droid knows how to repair the ship or knows how to run the ship or whatever. He clearly already knows how to operate this ship. Maybe he doesn't know how to repair it as well as perhaps the droid does, but he knows how to fly this ship. What else does he need? Why does he have to go back for the droid? Tell the kids, I'm not going back in there because they're gonna kill me or they're gonna capture me or whatever. This it's
And then
ridiculous.
somehow he leaves, and I don't understand why he leaves. And then he tries to find the thing. And of course, there's like a callback to like Roger, Roger.
Mhm.
And then, like, this is another thing. He runs into a guy who's like, "Oh, it's you? Like, you shouldn't be here. I'm gonna go like tell on you, and now you're gonna die." And like, he's holding a blaster. You'd think he'd just kill this weird creature. I'm not saying that I'm all for him killing it, but I think this was like, if Han Solo was here, especially before Lucas changed it to all these weird McClunky stuff. If this was like Greedo saying telling him that he's gonna go tell Jabba about this guy, you would shoot him. Why would he let this guy live so he can go tell all these people the story and so they can chase him?
Well, because if he shot and killed somebody on screen, then it would be harder to make him a sympathetic character later.
I mean,
So
didn't
they
they
can't
throw
have him
somebody out of an
shooting.
airlock at the beginning of the movie? But never mind.
Whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And then this other, like, Rat Man or whatever his name is. He's like, "Oh, we're gonna get them."
Yeah, but Brutus, I believe,
Brutus,
is the
okay,
name
yeah.
of the wolf man. Yeah.
And then they're on the ship, and like they think he's a Jedi, but like not all of them trust him.
Yep.
And
And then they find him, and he still has a rat living in his head. Which, by the
yeah,
way, if this spaceship has been buried for long enough for tree roots to grow into it,
what would the rat eat?
how did the rats live in there?
I don't even like this rat in the eye idea. That's just a dumb idea. I never like this stupid rat thing.
Corny. It's pretty corny.
In any case, they're like now they're also, since when do robots, are they such protectors and so like attitude? I mean, they're droids. They're not, never
He's
mind.
got to protect his captain. Arr.
Right. And why does the android talk like
like that?
pirate? Yeah, it's so annoying. So then he's here, and then Jude Law comes. He's like, "Oh, you don't sleep with those, do you?" Then he shows her that he can use the Force or something. I don't know what. Supposedly, I still don't know if that's true or not, but he seems to be able to do something. And then he takes these kids. He's like, "Oh, I have a friend, and she's an expert in finding maps." So after all this, it's another side quest. It's like, okay, now we're going to go to some other place, and now we're going to try to get a map from there. It's just like, it again reminds me of those kind of, I don't know if to call it the Mandalorian syndrome, where it's like A to B, B to C, C to E. Just, it just feels very kind of clinical sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, it absolutely is. It's very basic storytelling. We're going to go from here to there, and then we're going to go from there to the next place. It's fetch quests. It's a travel log. It's not, there's no actual characters driving the plot. It's just a plot happening and the characters reacting to what's going on, which is terrible storytelling.
And I feel like they also, like with everything else, they keep on borrowing our elements. I mean, Empire Strikes Back, Han has to go somewhere. He's like, "I got a friend here. We can go here." And then, like, there's always this feeling that you don't know if you could fully trust Lando or not. So here, they sort of did something like that too, where like they're visiting this talking owl, and he's also saying it's like a friend, but they could stab me in the back. Like, it's almost like they tried to lift the idea and paste it here. I know it's a bit different, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I will admit, the effects on the talking owl cat thing, really good. That was very
I
convincing.
didn't hate it. Although I don't know how I felt. Like, I don't know if I needed this character in a Star Wars movie, but I didn't think it looked terrible. I agree with you.
Yeah. Really, really well done. But yeah, we got to go here, and then we can get the map, and then the map is going to take us to the next place. Okay, sure.
Also, she's like, let me ask you a few questions. Oh, what galaxy this? And then they're like, there's smoke. It's near a thing. Oh, great. That narrows it down to like 3 options.
Yeah. Well, tell me about your planet. It's boring. We have a boring planet.
It's round. And like, yeah. And then they immediately, like, she knows
that's
everything.
real helpful, kid. Thanks. There's this barrier. Okay, what kind of barrier? What's that mean? Why? Why is the...
Yeah, it's annoying. So in any case, they look for the thing, and she somehow comes up with it. But by the time she figures it out, Jude Law like wants the thing, but he kind of attacks her. There's also this scene where like the Asian girl, like Jude Law is already walking out, and the Asian girl just stays and hangs out, and she's like, "Hey, come back to me if you need me." It's like, why did she stay behind to talk to her? Do you think Jude Law would pull them all out of there? Anyhow, after some shenanigans at the end, they leave this place too. Right? Oh, I guess I'm talking to myself. I wonder what happened to Professor. Well, that's awkward. Well, hopefully he'll be back. Oh, here he is. Professor.
My browser just locked up. Everything looked like it was fine on my end, and you weren't talking to me. And
yeah,
and
no,
then,
and you didn't say anything. I'm like, oh, I guess
right.
like a man, a few words, and then I
No,
looked
no,
like,
and then I looked up at because I've got the Rumble stream playing over in the corner,
there's
and I'm
also
like, I'm not on that stream. Wow, okay, maybe something's wrong on my end. So I fixed it.
There's also something stupid at the end. They're like, yeah, what do you really want? I need to get in the ship. Well, you work for us now. Okay, deal. It's like, I don't know what, this is so stupid. This guy, he can just sit there and then 5 minutes later on the ship say, I didn't make a deal. Screw you. I mean, he's an adult and they're a bunch of kids. Like, he could do whatever he wants, basically.
Oh, poor Phantom Outsider thought the rat got me. No, the rat didn't. The rat didn't get me. I'm okay. It's fine.
Anyhow, this stupid thing ends.
Yes. Yeah. It's weird. Yeah. They find the coordinates, but we don't know if those coordinates are, because they kind of are interrupted. So there's the coordinates that are going to take them somewhere. Clearly, it's not going to take them to Manhattan yet, right? It's going to take them somewhere else, where they're going to find another person who's going to be able to tell them a little bit about this or help them find that or whatever. And then they're going to say, oh, you know what? We can't get there. We're going to have to go take on some crew. Right. So they're going to go find some other people who are going to help them out. But they're going to be, oh no, these are good people. These are good pirates. Probably one of them is going to be Steve Urkel. I'm assuming is going to be one of the pirates that joins their crew. And then then they go to Manhattan and they're going to threaten Wim, and then Captain Silvo there is going to step in and say, no, you can't hurt him. Yeah, it's all just
Bunch of nonsense. Yeah,
the usual.
I agree. But it is what it is.
Did I drop out again?
Much we can do. I know that a lot of people are going to sit there and say how it's the greatest Star Wars ever. I don't feel that way.
Yep. Yeah, it is not the greatest Star Wars ever.
No, I don't think so.
Not even close.
Yeah, I guess we went over that episode, but really, I don't have a great feeling. It didn't improve my feeling on the show. The only thing that I can say is that Jude Law is a good actor, and every
really
time
is.
on screen, you could tell he's working hard to try to make it work. I thought he was going to collect a check. I actually think that in today's episode, he did try to make it good. It's
Yeah.
just that he just can't do it. It doesn't matter what he tries, but you could tell he did make an effort.
Yeah, and you can see, something that I think I look for in actors a lot of times, you want to see there's something going on behind their eyes. There's something going on in their head. They're not just reading lines. They're actually like thinking like that person would think. They're working through how do I react? What kind of character am I supposed to be? And you think you can see that with Jude in his performance here. He's actually trying to embody a character versus just sitting there reading lines. And it obviously it's a stark contrast to the kids. Not that I'm saying the kids are necessarily bad. Honestly, uh, when it comes to child actors, I think it really comes down to the director. It comes down to the director being able to actually tell them, all right, here's where you need to be. Here's how you're supposed to be feeling. Here's how I want you to deliver the lines. Because they don't have the experience.
And the writing has to be good. It's
The writing
really
has to be
important that
good,
the
too.
writing has to be good.
Yeah, the writing has to be good too. And honestly, the writing in this so far, like at least the dialogue has not been, I mean, it hasn't been the cringiest dialogue we've gotten from Star Wars. That still goes to the Acolyte.
Yeah,
by a long shot.
And I keep saying, is this better than the Acolyte? Yes. Is
Yeah.
it better than Ahsoka? Yes. But again, those two are examples for like complete and utter disasters.
Yeah. Yeah. So, is it all right? It's all right. It's all right. Are a lot of people, I think, giving it way more credit than it deserves just because it's not as bad as The Acolyte or Mandalorian season 3 or Ahsoka? Yes, I think a lot of people are giving it way more credit than it deserves, but certainly there's been worse things out there. It just, I think we've said it multiple times. It just doesn't feel like Star Wars.
And that's my biggest issue with it. It doesn't feel like Star Wars, and I was very bored while watching it. Even now, when we rewatch it, I suddenly became tired again. It's like it's a show that the second I see it, I feel like going to sleep, and I don't know why.
Well,
I feel like you had a similar
yeah.
experience. It's like,
Yeah.
ugh, like it's so.
Kinda
I
get
think
through it.
that we're probably people that are tired. Just that's our default. And when the brain notices that we're being served some crap, it thinks, okay, well maybe I can put in an hour here of sleep.
Just fleeing as quickly as it can. But yeah, no, I'm still gonna keep watching it. Obviously, I don't hold much hope for this being much more than what we've seen so far, though. I think it's gonna be more fetch quests. It's gonna be more, oh, what's the mystery of Captain Silvo? Who is he? Well, I don't think that's gonna be much to uncover, to be honest.
And all this stuff, I don't know if you noticed today. I saw like Sweet Baby Ink was popping up in places that apparently some guy that disappeared, they found him. Did you hear anything about this?
Oh, a guy that disappeared.
Maybe it was a girl. I don't know. Somebody that
Oh.
disappeared, like now resurfaced. I was looking today. I don't know if you're more knowledgeable. There was some Sweet Baby Ink thing today. I don't know if you know more about it.
The only thing I'd seen recently, I saw Master of the TDS talking about a new game that had been uncovered with some Sweet Baby Ink connections. It's called Zix, I think was the name of it. I saw something that had to do with that. I'm not sure about the somebody disappearing or something. I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, I don't know. There was something. Maybe I didn't interpret it correctly. There's also that Indiana Jones game, right?
Oh yes, yeah.
What's going on with that?
I've seen a couple of people playing it. It got some ridiculous ratings from the likes of IGN and other games journalists, saying it was this great game and whatever. But like I said, I have not played it myself yet, and likely won't unless I can get it for free somewhere. The combat is terrible. It is just bad. It is not well constructed. It doesn't even look fun. The overall thing is basically just solving puzzles from one place to another, which I mean honestly makes sense for an Indiana Jones game. but I've seen on multiple occasions where basically there's a little bit of combat and then there's like a boss fight or something that you're supposed to be in, and it literally just cuts to a cutscene to finish the fight. So you're not even involved. You're not. It's just like, we're gonna, there's gonna be this fight scene. Oh well, let's have the fight scene play out this way, and then you're not gonna be a part of it. So the combat system's terrible. The traversal and stuff seems fine. The story is, I don't know. Of what I saw of it, didn't seem very good. But I haven't played all the way through it. But of course, all the journalists been giving it really high marks, 8s, 9s, and so on. I think pretty soon we're going to be rid of this game. They did not do a lot to promote it. I think they kind of knew that they had a real dud on their hands. Maybe not on the same level as Dragon Age Veilguard or other bigger disasters like Dustborn, but I think they knew that what they had was not something that was going to be a huge seller. So they didn't spend a lot of money on promoting it. Now, I think right now it's only an early release. I think hasn't been fully published yet. So maybe they keep making up some updates. Maybe there's some more marketing for it later. But I'm definitely not one I'm looking forward to. Does not look like a particularly fun or interesting game. I will say that they did find a pretty good voice to do the younger Indy. He does a pretty good job.
Who?
I don't actually know who the voice actor is, but he does a
Kareem
pretty.
Abdul-Jabbar. I'm just kidding, of course.
No, he does do a pretty good job of doing the younger Indy, voice from the from the earlier films. And
What's wrong with Indy in a commercial like that? I think it's better to have him than the little boy.
My dad says you're lazy. No.
Did I misunderstand though? What were you saying about the Indy thing?
No, it's not a particularly. I don't think it's going to be a great game. I don't think it's going to get a lot of coverage. I don't think a whole lot of people are going to be buying it. I'm guessing probably.
Is there a boy in the game, or am I now just confusing something else?
No.
Sorry,
confusing.
So many kids all over the place. I think that in my late night brain, I connected the Indy thing with Skeleton Crew.
Oh, I thought you were connecting it with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar talking to the kid in Airplane. So
yes, that's what I was initially going for. Also,
yeah,
my brain is already in complete loops. In any case, I what I will say is that it seems like everything is crappy. So you don't think it's going to do well?
No, I really don't. I think we'll probably stop hearing from that pretty soon. I don't think a lot of people are going to be interested in that particular game. Obviously there's always more DEI crud coming out of the game industry. The development cycle is just so long that a lot of this stuff's going to take a while for it to finally filter out. I think we're going to see a much quicker turnaround in Hollywood with getting a lot of this identity politics stuff out of films and out of television shows, because people are just sick of it. And so many of these projects have just crashed and burned in recent years, just in the past year. And I'm guessing next year we're going to see more than a few that are going to crash and burn as well.
My friend Tom Connors has told me on a number of occasions that he feels that Disney is, and also I think Script Doctor told me this, that they think that Disney is going to be like the last stand, like the final holdout. Like they don't want to let go of all the woke stuff. But really, they're probably the first that should have done that.
They always used to have a really tight focus on family values and making family pictures. And that was what made Disney Disney. That's what made them their money. That's what brought them back in the 90s and the early 2000s. And then when they brought Marvel in, those generally all of the Marvel films were very accessible for family audiences. And the more they keep pushing this agenda stuff, the more and more that parents are waking up to this stuff and don't want their kids to see it or listen to it. I think finally they might start to get there. But yeah, something tells me it's going to take them a long time, Disney especially, to turn around on this, because they've chased off everyone else. I think, we've kind of talked about it before. If they're looking for conservatives anywhere inside their organization, they're long gone. They've been chased out by all the activists and all of the DEI trainings and all that stuff. They don't want anything to do with Disney anymore. They've gone to greener pastures, and Disney's going to have a real hard time recruiting people like that and convincing them that that as a business that they've changed. So I think they're just going to have a hard time turning it around. Yeah, just because they don't have the talent, they don't have people with any ideology other than left-leaning activists. So, we've got another super chat here from the Dead Man from a couple of minutes ago.
Thank you, the Dead Man.
Thank you again, the Dead Man. We do appreciate it. The Dead Man for $4.99 says, "All right, guys, calling it a night. Good night, fellas. I'm going to go watch Quantum Leap for Thursday. So going to prepare for Thursday's Quantum Leap show."
Well, Thursday is a good episode.
Oh boy.
And I guess what we can do is we can just, we've talked about most of the issues and things we wanted to talk about today. And I just want to, be able to say thank you to some people that were here. Just noticed Matt Cat was here, which is nice. Because there were
here as well.
because there were technical issues, I may not have everybody today, and I apologize. But Mur Rockstra, Tim Hayes, Rob Nutskubla, Whalem03, the Dead Man, of course. I saw Marlo Sharondoff here earlier. It was nice to see her. The Dead Man, of course, Tim Hayes, Pyromancer, Dude Bro Seth. Dude Bro Seth is awesome. Always has this kind of Cheers thing with the Leonardo DiCaprio meme. I have Nudik. Kivo 1961. Oh, that's the OJ comment. Thanks, Kivo. Tim Hayes, Caleb Levine, Marockstar. I think I said all these people. Jonathan Conroy. Let's see. Phantom Outsider, Caleb Levine, Boosh McFadden. If I missed somebody, I really genuinely am sorry. Tim Hayes, I've said. Eraserhead. Marla Sharondoff, I do see her here. I don't know what this is. Phantom Outsider.
Yeah, don't worry about that one.
That was one of the strange ones.
Yep.
Sometimes we get some strange ones.
Got a couple of bots dropping links on Rumble.
Sea Brew. Somebody, I mean, I can't blame them. They just they see a stream and they drop some kind of weird link.
Yeah, they know we're popular and we got an audience. And so.
No, it's rare. It's rare. It's not like all of our messages are like that. Once in a while, we get somewhat like a weirdo, but it comes with the territory.
No.
Sea Brew 1138. Hope I didn't forget anybody.
See,
Boosh McFadden, Jonathan Conroy, Matt Cat. I'm so sorry I didn't see you, Matt.
Yeah.
I just saw it now.
Yeah, Matt and Vex both.
Oh, Vex was here.
Yeah.
How did I not? How did I miss them? Oh well. You guys are great. Sorry, guys. Smilex. He said I've got a hard spot for that little trunky fella. I don't know what that means. I don't know if I want to know what that means. I think
The
Cosgrove,
you get Malachi D. Wildman. You get him.
Panty Fun, Malachi D. Wildman, Nurse Shore 85, Adam Gray, and Pluto TVS 24/7 Quantum Leap. That's good to know.
I think they have 24/7 everything at this
Right.
point. Yeah.
Panty Fun says, "Is this pre-recorded?" No, I
No,
just
we are
read your
here.
name. How would I know your name if it was pre-recorded? And by the way, Panty Fun, if you're already here, you should follow. So next time that there's a live, you'll get a notification. Follow and do that bell thing.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying it right. A lot of people say Sebrew 1138, not 1138. I hope I said it correct. Did I say Sebrew 1138? Hope I did.
1138. Star Wars reference. Well, George Lucas reference, I suppose.
Right. I know what you mean. Because of his early short movie or whatever it is.
Yeah, THX 113. Have you ever watched that?
You know what? I've seen parts of it, but I don't know if that I've watched from the beginning till the end. Is it good?
Saw it a long time ago. I didn't love it. It's much more of an art house kind of a picture. Very, very kind of sad. Dark.
North Shore 85 says just subbed. I appreciate that. This is a fun stream, and hopefully we'll see you hanging out with us more. So yeah, I think that we went over everything, and also, of course, Professor R2. He's on X. He's on every platform you can think of, whether it's Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, anywhere you want. Professor R2 is there. You should look for him and sub and do all that good stuff.
You cannot escape me. I am inevitable. Yes.
And of course, if you like this stream, wherever you're at, please click the like button. Please follow us, subscribe, whatever it is. That would be cool. So yeah, I think that we went over all the topics that we wanted to go over. And anything you want to say before we go, Professor?
No. Yeah. Well, always great to be here with you, Bryce. We'll see you again on Thursday. Thanks to everybody showing up in the chat. Again, if you're here and you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. And if you're out there on Rumble, if you don't have an account, create an account, follow us, like the stream, and then we hope to see you again later.
Awesome. Wait, hold on, Marla Sharonduff. Before we go, the air NCIS New Orleans, but they'll put NCIS Los Angeles on that same channel. Quantum Leap has a nonstop one episode after another channel. Well, that's good to know.
Cool.
Quantum Leap is always fun to watch. So I guess on that positive note, it's time for us to go.
Yes.
I guess this is goodbye.
Yeah. Night, everybody.
Night. Bye, Adam Gray.